Some things I love. Ferris Bueller, Abe Froman. Come on, guys. Best movie in the world, Ferris Bueller. Harrison Ford. Jay's Italian Beef. If you think Al's is fine. If you don't know Jay's on Narragansett, you don't know anything. Ice Cold Old Style and the bleachers at Wrigley. Free admission Thursdays. Used to be Tuesdays when I was in high school at Whitney Young at the Old Art Institute, Portillo's. And these Chicago Bears, these 2023 Chicago Bears, we are no longer living in the past, no longer Tuesdays. It's Thursdays presently and into the future. We'll get into the Bears preseason and so many thoughts, so many different parts of the internet having so many things to say about Justin Fields. We will also talk about what was a true Anthony Richardson experience, the ups and downs, and how about George Pickens? We've got the rest of the preseason covered with the return of our guy, Darius Butler, and it's Brock Purdy. And no, not Trey Lance. Stats. Rob Guerrera is here to entertain, to inform, and likely irritate me, let's be honest. And now, my tweet too early preseason takes for your Chicago Bears. Cue the Alan Parsons Project, y'all. It is hard to walk away from what we saw on Saturday and not be extremely excited about what's going on in Chicago. Justin Fields, we know he's been good. Can he do it all by himself? No, he doesn't have to. I've been talking about DJ Moore and banging the table for this guy since nobody was talking about him or giving him any love. And look at this. Look at this. Oh, my gosh. He's running into the end zone. His first touch as a Bear, his first little morsel, his first little nibble, his crumb, went for a beautiful 62-yard score. If he had a quarterback, some consistency, he could get this done on every play, every time he touches the ball, and he might. He's a game changer for this passing game. This is a perennial 1,000-yard receiver with whoever's throwing in the ball. And while he was primarily used as a deep option, a threat last year, in that way, 11.2 yards a catch. That was, by the way, top 5 in the National Football League. He has shown this ability to make things happen after the catch, also throughout his young career, unheralded just as he is. This is a nice little reminder of what he can do when he puts the ball in his hands and gets the ball in his hands from a guy like Justin Fields. And then, Fields' next pass, this screen, that, I mean, it nearly went awry, but it ended up in the hands of Khalil Herbert. We love Herberts in the NFL. Woo-hoo-hoo. 56-yard score. Incredible effort, slicing his way through defenders to find the end zone. This is preseason week 1, okay? But Herbert, this is not just this little moment that he's had, right? He has shined over the past 2 years while filling in for David Montgomery. He has averaged an absurd 5.7 yards per carry last year. I think people are still sleeping on what he could potentially bring to the table, and he will have a chance to be, I would imagine, a primary option. I know everybody still thinks Foreman is going to happen, and he should. They should use everything that they have and zig and zag accordingly. But he's going to be, could be, a monster in this backfield this year. So why is this a big deal? Should we be saying, who cares, we'll see, this isn't anything? Why is it so exciting that Fields throws a few short passes that turn into big scores? Well, I listened and tuned into Chicago local radio, and I did hear this stat, and I said, this can't be true. Could this be true? And it is. The Bears ranked dead last in the NFL a season ago when it came to yards after the catch. That's dreadful. The entire passing game was so dependent on Justin Fields having to hit big plays downfield or making it all happen on his legs with that offensive line. It's just hard to do, and they didn't have anywhere near the talent that he needed around him to get anything done. So he still throws a good deep ball, but for this offense to be a success, to make waves in what they could in an NFC North that nobody knows what's going on, it's a weebly wobbly, you need guys who can turn short completions into big plays. And if you want evidence of why that matters, if you look at that list, guys, the Kansas City Chiefs were number 1 in yak yards last season. They're nowhere near at the bottom like we just saw. Number 1 on that list. And I mean, in fact, Mahomes, he had more yak from his receivers than any quarterback in the league since he became a starter in 2018. So I don't want to get caught up in too much of the hype of, 9 snaps and 3 preseason passes, but I'm genuinely excited about what's happening in Chicago. And somehow people in Chicago still have a way of saying, like, screen passes and short game. Mahomes, that's how they win a Super Bowl, with the yak. We want the yak. Don't we understand? The yak is a good thing. And when you look at these, by the way, when I was saying weebly wobbly, that's just my way of pulling up the FanDuel Sportsbook looks right here as far as the odds for this division. I gotta say, this is sort of wild to me to see the Bears below the Packers, okay? They have the longest odds to win the division. Okay, I'll take this. I'm taking this all day. I like Chicago at plus 430, okay? And those don't jump on the bandwagon now, Bears fans. Guess what? I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm picking them. I'm picking them right now, or at least at those odds. Them being the biggest long shots, a bit disrespectful. Somebody has to be at the bottom, I guess. I actually like that they're at the bottom, and we're gonna be scrutinizing and getting excited. Bears fans, I know you don't want to hear from me, but if these Bears are making things happen and they made the right moves, and I was excited about it last year, they're on their way. Be on your way. Don't celebrate a Super Bowl win after you beat the 49ers week 1 last year. That was going on, and I'm sitting at a sports bar and everyone's freaking out like you guys won the Super Bowl after week 1. It did not happen. You could be so much better this year, and of course I'm here for it. Give me a break. The other big thing that jumped out to me this weekend, guys, was we got our... It wasn't a glimpse. We can't call it a glimpse. We got like a full game of Russell Wilson. What is this? Sean Payton, he was very honest about it leading up to it. Like, he's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to get some looks. There was a lot that jumped out to me on Friday night. And while obviously they're not going to give everything away in the preseason, there were some little tweaks, little differences in the approach that Payton is taking with Russell in this passing game. First of all, he was out there well into the second quarter. And I know that Darius Butler wants to talk about it. And so he'll join us on the show, but he took 20 snaps while every other established starter guys didn't play, or they were like drinking like a Sunny Delight on the sideline and taking minimal reps, but not Russell Wilson. I think that's a message from coach right there that there's plenty of work to do, okay? You're gonna get out there, we're all gonna take a step back, we're gonna humbly approach this entire season, and you're gonna play, and it's a huge risk. It's so Sean Payton. It's a huge, he was in the second quarter, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't even like it a little bit. But when you really dive into the plays that Russ was out there for, I think the biggest change I've been hoping to see in the passing game was already really evident for everybody, and that's the use of play action. We have been barking. We have been beating the drum for this. TJ Ward, Kareem Jackson, we've had Patrick Surtain. Is he going to use play action? Will you please cater to Russell Wilson? I've gone over it a bunch. If the Broncos were among the teams to use play action the least last year. When you look at Russell's time in Seattle, Pete Carroll used it a ton. Russ had the 3rd highest passer rating in the NFL off of play fakes. It's where he comes alive. He thrives in that, and that's why it was so great to see 5 of Russell's 13 attempts on Friday night coming off play action, okay? 4 of his 6 first down completions. So you can see sort of the confidence with him. You could see the comfort level with him letting those throws rip and fly. He finished the day 6 of 7 when throwing on first down for 72 yards, and more than half of those coming off play fakes. So with this upgraded offensive line, you got Javonte Williams, hopefully healthy. Why do I think he's healthy? Because they didn't have anybody else, and they probably wanted to. And we know how important the run game is going to be, and they sort of stayed pat, and they say Williams is going to be the dude. This is the move. This is your consistent recipe for success going forward. Me and my share hair are very excited about it. And yeah, they're clearly working on some of whatever has to happen with the passing game. The Tim Patrick thing's awful. Who's going to step up? Those questions need to be answered. And it's kind of like an obvious situation. It's like Russ there's things to work on. He was 0 for 5 with a sack on third down on second, I forget what it was, but it was not great. Okay, it's not pretty, and I'm sure it's going to be addressed this week in practice vigorously. But it did end positively, at least on a 4th down play with Russ beating the blitz and hitting Jerry Jeudy. Check this out. Okay, a nice slant. Okay, wishy you for a touchdown on what would be his final snap of the game. Then he was like, "All right, can I please? This is embarrassing. Can I please get off the field?" Of course, and Russell Wilson being embarrassed does not happen easily. So he's got to get out there and get his rest in for the rest of the preseason. We don't want to read too much into this, but I do think it's clear Sean is making his presence felt on this offense, and I'm interested to hear where he feels they stand throughout the week here and into the next game. All right, we've got a big show. Let me tell you what we got. We got Darius Butler on bucket hats, on Anthony Richardson, on George Pickens, on I don't even know, on Lionel Messi. We got to talk a little Messi with our guy DB, who is back on the show. We've got Rob Stats Guerrera on the Niners situation, and I'm going to tell you a guy you need to draft in fantasy, the rookie receiver outside of Jordan Addison.
Ain't nobody safe when I'm in a room.
been a million years since I've seen that music video and since I've gotten to hang with one of our great friends who is back, a 9-year NFL veteran, defensive back playing with the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Colts, who we have to talk about right now. He's the co-host of the Man to Man podcast and the pride of South Florida. Darius Butler, how are you, my friend?
I am great. It's been way too long, Kay. Happy to be back.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my summer, but football is close enough. We can smell it. It's right around the corner.
What have you been doing?
Come on, Kay. You already. I've been golfing. All right. I've been golfing. My golf game is, it's right where I had a goal set going into the fall.
Okay.
I reached my goal, which is break 90, be around 90 on the golf course. I'm not sure if you know what that means or not.
Nope.
But I'm there. So now I just got to sustain it throughout the fall now that football season's here and I got to start working again.
So we had super influencer, babe, golf, like knowledgeable, like I don't even know, force, Paige Sporonic on the show on Friday.
Paige is awesome.
Yeah, and we were talking about, I had NFL players saying like she smoked me in Tahoe. Like I'm not kidding, like she's the real deal. And she told me that if you're good at putt-putt, like if you're good at mini golf, then you would suck at real golf. Do you agree?
I wouldn't say that, but look, Paige is the pro. I'm not the pro here, I'm still an amateur. But what I will tell you is, and a common misconception, a lot of people want to start off the tee, trying to drive it 300 plus yards. You got to learn the game from the greens out, all right? Start on your putting, work on your chipping, and then that 150 in the end game, that's where you win or lose these matches. So, but I'll take anything Paige says.
Yeah.
That's gold to me when it comes to golf, for sure.
Paige has golf instruction videos on her website. It's called Only Paige instead of OnlyFans. She's like doing her thing, getting those bags.
I'm sure.
But
I'm sure they do well, Kay. I'm sure they do well.
They do pretty well. I'm going to actually put that champagne video behind her paywall and just get residuals. It's great. Listen to me, Darius. Stick with me. I wanted to make a segue from she has instructional videos, and she's a teacher, and now somebody else is as well. I don't know if you saw the latest news this morning about Payton Manning, okay, star on and off the field at the University of Tennessee. He's going back as a professor, okay? He's going to be with the College of Communication and Info. He's going to join select classes as a featured expert and sort of help people, I don't even know. I don't know what he's gonna do. What do you think about this?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Obviously, this guy as wealthy as Payton, and, he can kind of do and choose what he wants to do in his time. And one of his biggest strengths as a quarterback was his communication. I was never a teammate of his, but I played with a bunch of his former teammates and obviously played against them a few times. And that was something you grew up as a kid. If you played defense like I did, you grew up and you couldn't wait until you were actually on the field across from Payton Manning, the sheriff, just communicating with absolutely everybody on the field and the rest of his home crowd being dead silent. So I would anticipate much of the same down there in Tennessee. I'm sure there'll be, full notepads out, listening to the sheriff give instruction out there. It's pretty dope, though, to see Payton doing that.
Did you ever pick him off?
I did.
Oh,
One of my most memorable interceptions. I should have hit. I didn't know we were going to talk about
Neither
Payton.
did I.
I would definitely hit somebody to have that B-roll up. But Lucas Oil, actually, let me tell you a story real quick, Kay. Lucas Oil Stadium, Payton Manning is 3 yards shy, 6 minutes left, 6 minutes change, 3 yards shy of breaking a quarterback that used to play in Green Berets, all-time passing record. I pick him off. He doesn't break the record. He has to wait until the following week to break it. Not in the stadium that he built. So, yes, I picked Payton Manning off. It was one of my favorite plays of Payton, over route, one of his favorite routes. So, yes, I got the sheriff.
That's epic. He's failing you, though. You're getting a D on any paper you turn into him in college, then. I think that's cool. We're asking on social, everybody, which NFL voice personality, maybe it's Darius Butler, maybe it's Pat McAfee, maybe it's Al Michaels, who I would love to listen to for an hour. Which NFL personality would make the best professor?
Oh, somebody's got to keep you up, number one.
Yeah.
NFL personality. Pat is easy. You definitely, Pat McAfee's obviously going to keep the crowd engaged. He'll be, so Pat would be obviously number one. I guess I'll just stop there, Pat.
Yeah,
I can't go wrong with
can't
Pat.
go wrong
Man,
with Pat. Pat,
yeah, sure.
Pat doesn't do enough. You don't have enough on your plate. You're not busy. You should be a professor.
He's got a new kid at home. He's got a new daughter. I don't think he'll have too much time to be doing that anytime soon. But I'm sure he'll kill that role just like he kills all the other ones.
Maybe eventually. All right, let's get to it here. Anthony Richardson, he gave us the ups and downs, right? He gave us the full rookie Anthony Richardson experience. He threw I think it was an interception, right? It was early in the game, but with what you saw, did his performance pass your eye test?
Yeah, definitely still passed the eye test. I expected some type of struggles. Obviously, rookie quarterback didn't play a ton even in college. Doesn't have a bunch of starts under his belt. So there will be some growing pains, but he has that, athletic ability to extend plays and make plays. And he made some great throws, honestly, in that game, too. Some of the receivers didn't come down with some of these catches, but making reads, making throws, and getting those first jitters out as a preseason, NFL preseason game is a completely different environment for him as a quarterback, all those different things you have to do in the huddle, pre-snap, and then post-snap. But he definitely passed the eye test. Obviously, it's going to be very important, I think, for the coach for Jonathan Taylor to get healthy and then to figure out that situation and have him back there to help this young quarterback come along. But he definitely passed my test. There will be some struggles this year, but I think we'll still be good enough to win at least, a good 8-9 games in the AFC South.
8 or 9 games would be really nice for them as they're rebuilding, and we don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor, like you're saying. Now, hopefully that's what happens with them, and they maybe keep their coach around. That'd be nice to see Irsay
putting good energy out
do as well. You always are. The bucket hat thing with Sean Payton. My friend Jimmy Palmtrees of NFL Media, he puts out the list of Sean Payton, a maniac, a true madman. Sean Payton, he had the rules of what he doesn't want to see. I don't want to see fun. I don't want to see a smile. I don't want to see a bucket hat. Do we have this list, guys? The preseason rules. Do we have it? I don't think so. Okay, here it is. All right. So yeah, uniforms off after you're done playing. No sunglasses, which I think is ridiculous. You're protecting your eyes. Have you ever heard of the sun, UV, climate change? Are you a non-believer in climate change, Sean Payton? No interviews during the game. Woof. I did yoga with Chris Jones in the middle of a preseason game, and it went viral. What are you doing, Sean? No Gilligan hats, as he says. Now, I have to ask you, are you pro or anti-bucket hat?
Oh, big bucket hat guy. Big pro Gilligan hat, bucket hat, whatever you want to call it.
There you go.
Big bucket hat guy. Hey, okay. Hey, there we go. Solid. That was a throwback 90s, 80s, 90s party, I believe. Had the solid polo bucket. But yeah, big bucket hat guy for sure. Shout out to Ty. That was his birthday party. My best friend. But this is Sean Payton. Just being a hard ass. He's back in the coaching booth. He's out of the TV booth. He's off of the up and at him stage now. Yeah. Back on the sideline, laying down the law. I think he's a Bill Parcells guy.
He is.
So this is kind of right along that, that standard.
Okay, This is the same guy, Darius, who has a broom and is doing the sweep dance with Teddy Bridgewater. And this is the dude that is doing the choppa. Yeah. And this is the dude that rolls in like $250K in dollar bills or something to motivate his players to incentivize them for their bonuses. I thought he's known as the fun coach.
No, you gotta have some range. Belichick, surprisingly, I played for Belichick for a couple years. Obviously strict, another Parcells guy, very, very strict, but he would have times where he let his hair down and have some fun. And I think, there are some things you definitely have to evolve and do some different things with new players. But obviously, Sean Payton, he's not with the riffraff, okay?
Right.
None of this sunglass. Look, we got a lot of stuff to turn around this Denver Broncos team, this organization. He's been pretty vocal about that. I think too vocal at times. But I think a lot of these things, and they had the Garrett Wilson thing up and saying, hey, was Garrett Wilson trolling?
Was
Sean
he?
Payton is the great. No. Okay, I know it's August 14th, and we may still be reaching for some headlines being this close to the season, but no. And that's the reason why Sean Payton made the list in the first place, because this is what's going on NFL sidelines. You got the shades, you got the jury, you got the bucket hat, you got interviews. Some coaches are cool with that. Some coaches are definitely not. So I think you can probably find, 100 shots at different random players from preseason week 1 that had that same sideline garb on that Garrett Wilson did.
I think you're going to see a lot of bucket hats from the opposing team fans, I think you're going to see it at least early into the season, and you're definitely going to see it
We'll forget
Was
about
it
it.
week 5, Jets Broncos, I believe? I believe it is. After
Now, week
Jets
5,
Kansas City Sunday night, week 4. Then they go on to face their division rival. It's going to be a bucket hat palooza. I promise you. And that one's in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a lot going on leading into that game. But I think by then we'll be well forgotten about these bucket hats by then for sure.
What'd you make of Russell Wilson playing all that time?
I mean, I'm alarmed. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. Now, these are 2 Hall of Famers in my opinion. Sean Payton will be a Hall of Famer one day. I think Russell Wilson will be a Hall of Famer one day as well. But I mean, philosophically, Russell Wilson's all about instinct and extending plays and making plays with his legs. And I mean, at least the great Russell Wilson that we know. And Sean Payton's offense is all about timing, getting back to that spot, hitting the receivers in their spot, having a good run game, getting the ball where it's supposed to be. So can Russell Wilson evolve into that type of quarterback at this point in his career? He obviously should. And then how much will Sean Payton evolve his offense to fit Russell Wilson's strength? That's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on with these 2. But him playing, deep into the second quarter in preseason game 1, I know he had the touchdown pass, but I think that was halfway through the second quarter to Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah, I'm very alarmed, very concerned with what's going on in Denver right now. And the preseason, look, I don't like to overreact to preseason. Preseason football is kind of like the QB win stat. You kind of use it where you need to. It works one argument, and maybe it worked a little different in this argument. But for a quarterback that's been in the league this long, I don't want to see him playing into the second quarter of preseason game 1. And I don't care what he does at that point when he's in the game.
I mean, yeah, the highlights were of him running around. But do you really? I mean, I know Russell's not old, but Russell is no spring chicken. Like, do you want Russell running around freelancing year 12 of his career? I feel like the meat of the production was still, play action, which I like to see.
Yeah, I still want to see him moving around, though. I think that's the best version of Russell Wilson. You can't completely, change your stripes. Now, once again, as you get older in your career, in year 12, he is in better shape. You can see that. Anybody can see that with eyes. So, but you don't want to lose that part of your game, but you have to get better, getting back to that spot, getting to the pocket, and hitting those targets on time. That's what Drew Brees have all these records that he has with Sean Payton being his play caller. So they need to mesh, obviously, at some point. The sooner the better with this team, especially with kind of the target I think Coach Payton has put on this franchise's back.
So I think that, and I called this right when this happened with that match, not called it, but there's no more fascinating quarterback-coach duo than these 2. Like, you've got a reckless pirate, and he's shown that this past 2 months. And then you have, the Wonder Boy doing squats in the aisles of the airplane, who's earnest and he's who he is. You're saying they have to mesh. Like, whose job is it to mesh more to the other? Like, they can evolve together, that's fine. But you got to think, like, the coach, like, I want the coach to play to the quarterback and get the best out of his quarterback? Or should the coach be like, no, you adhere to me? Like, don't the best coaches get the best out of their players?
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Just like, Andy Reid, we saw him with a ton of different quarterbacks. And Patrick Mahomes, his skill set, a lot of things Patrick Mahomes does is because Andy Reid allows him to be, Patrick Mahomes. He didn't try to put him into this box. And Sean Payton's a great coach. He's forgotten more football than we'll ever know. So I'm sure he'll do his fair share of doing that with Russell Wilson as well. But you got to meet somewhere close to the middle, in my opinion. I don't think Russell Wilson will ever be Drew Brees, and I don't think Sean Payton should coach him exactly like Drew Brees. There are things and staples that you bring over, but you got to kind of build this offense and the play calls that you're doing with this offense differently when you're playing with a guy like Russell Wilson. But the good thing is they have talent. They paid some of their O-line. They got good receivers in the room, and you got a good defense as well, who last year, if you scored 20 points a game, you probably win 11 games. So you don't have to go out there and light the scoreboard up every week. So that's a very, very good thing for this offense to continue to grow. Because you pay a quarterback that type of money, you're going to have to do some evolving with how he plays the game as well.
So a couple of things, couple of follows here. I'm trying to go see Coach Payton this week, okay? I'm trying to, have a little sit down with him, what should I ask him? Like, what would you want to know from Coach?
Man, what would I want to know from Coach?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. It would be all Russell Wilson questions, honestly. Like, what do you, and you know, how honest will he be? He was a little bit too honest with USA Today. So how honest will he be sitting down with Kay on camera? But I really want to know, okay, what are the type of things that Russell, hey, I have to have these type of things in my offense. And then what are the type of things that you say to Russell, hey, you have to do these type of things. I know you haven't done it in your career. So I want to know just more of the ins and outs when it comes there, because preseason, once again, we can overreact all we want. We're not going to see the real thing until we get to week 1. And once, like I said at the beginning, these are 2 Hall of Famers in their respective position, coach and quarterback. So I think they get it together somewhat and at least have field a competitive offense, which they didn't do at all last year, from week 1 to week freaking 18. It's embarrassing.
It's true, and they sort of know that, and I think a lot of the locker room was sort of fed up with that, and that's what led him to make some of those remarks, as we all kind of heard. The AFC West is fascinating to me. I didn't go to Kansas City. I might go to the Broncos. I didn't get to go visit the Raiders, but I was out with the Chargers in Costa Mesa, and Herbert looks insane. He is healthy. All the receivers are like 9 feet tall. Like Kellen Moore's gonna let it rip. Top to bottom, they're much more talented, I think, than any other team in the division. And it's just gonna come down to coaching. I think it's all on Brandon Staley versus what?
No, it's just a huge year for Brandon Staley.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I've been a Chargers fan for 3 years now since Herbert took over, basically, because I was just blown away from the first time I saw him on the NFL field. But, I mean, it's like, even now, I'm only 3 years into this thing, it's like, oh, man, you look at this roster, they can compete. You see him go toe-to-toe with Mahomes and the Chiefs a couple times already. Like, what's in the way of them getting over the hump? You saw him blow a 27-point lead in the playoffs last year. That terrible, terrible taste in your mouth to go into this year, but you have the talent. Can Bosa stay healthy? You get another year out of Mac, J.C. Jackson. So much talent up and down this roster on both sides of the ball. Quentin Johnston.
Let's go. I'm talking about it today.
The first round pick.
Love him.
Like, man, it's all there. Justin Herbert's now, he's the highest paid quarterback in the league. But big year, I think, for Brandon Staley. We know how the NFL is.
Yeah.
With you having a roster like this, you got to win, and you got to win now.
Yeah, and especially when you have Sean Payton come into the division. Sean Payton, who was rumored to be interested in the LA Chargers job when he was making his transition from Fox, where he was in LA every weekend, before taking ultimately that Broncos gig. It's going to come down to, like, Andy Reid, of course. You know, they're taking a big risk, I think, by not adding a ton with their receiving core, if they're putting it all on Kadarius Toney. Now, you got Quentin Johnston on his own is going to be potentially a stud. Now he's got Keenan Allen and he's got Mike Williams, who have dealt with some injury history. So there's a good chance that Quentin Johnston, and I hope he gets lots of reps, if we saw a touchdown over the weekend, like, he could be that 1A easily in a couple of games at least this offseason. It's all going to come down to the coaching and what that means. But I will say, I think the gap is narrowing a little bit. And Chiefs fans, of course, you're at the top. You have the best quarterback. You have the best coach. But even Chiefs fans, I feel like, are reacting to the Chargers a little bit more hostilely instead of joking about how bad they are, because I think that they are seeing that they have the talent. Another standout I'll just put out here, we'll talk about it more in the given weeks, like Eric Kendricks leaving Minnesota and going and joining, that is a piece that's going to help it all on defense. They couldn't stop the run even a little bit, but he will be all over the field and helping everybody elevate their game. And I think that he's a really special player who's nobody's talking about, that's going to make a big difference in that AFC West.
Yeah, he's been a great player for a long time in this league that kind of has flown under the radar. So to get a guy like that with the amount of reps that he has under his belt, to get guys lined up, and that is one of their biggest weaknesses, stopping that run. That's going to be big. But, I mean, going back to Quentin Johnston, being the third option. Now, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen both dealt with injuries, like you said, but he'll have a chance to develop as a young receiver in this league, getting a ton of one-on-one matchups, right? He's not coming to the league where guys are going to have to lean his way, like Jordan Addison as well. Jordan Addison's in a great situation. Trust me, they're going to be putting 2-3 guys on Justin Jefferson. So he'll have every opportunity to develop, especially with a quarterback like Herbert, who has shown in every start he will throw the ball to anybody that's open. It could be Palmer, Eckler, anybody that's on the field and open. Justin Herbert's going to you regardless of the situation. So great situation for Quentin out there.
I want to talk about another receiver that's out there that I think is kind of divisive for DBs, and you're our DB guy, so I want to ask you about him. Because he's kind of mean to y'all. Okay, but he keeps showing up and making big plays, and I'm talking about George Pickens. You already know. So, I mean, look at this laser that he snapped from Kenny Pickett. He runs right through the Bucs defense for the score. I think there we go. Are you in on the Pickens experience? How does it make you feel?
I'm in. I'm all the way in. He was a dog, and you hear about a lot of those Georgia Bulldogs. You know, when you hear about his former college teammates that talk about him in the way that they talk about him and rave about him. And you've seen the talent. You've seen him on an NFL field during the regular season. You see too many practice clips for my liking. I don't like my DBs shown getting tossed around and moss like that in practice.
Look at this.
Because, oh my God, no.
I mean, and he was not. This is not very nice to do to Joey Porter Jr. If you're Porter, what are you doing?
You line up again. Look, that's just the name. It's the nature of the beast. You line up again. I'm sure Joey Porter Jr. has won his fair share of reps in practice, but we're only going to see the ones that George Pickens, makes. This is an offensive league. We know what it is, but he's a star. I think he's a stud, and it's going to be huge for Pickett to Pickens for that connection to continue to grow. For the Steelers to have some success, because that division, I mean, you look at that division, they're the absolute juggernaut. Obviously, you have Mike Tomlin at the top, who's been a great, steady head coach in this league for a long time. But you look at the quarterbacks in that division, it's tough sledding every week for sure.
I'm looking at my tweets from go ahead. Matt. What are you about to say? What are you about to say?
One of my Super Bowl teams are coming out of that division. From the AFC. I don't know. It might be too early to call that yet.
Does it rhyme with schmangles?
I mean, Kay, we got a few more shows before the season starts. I got to do a little bit more research, but I'll get back to you.
Listen, the crazy thing is, if we weren't all obsessed with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and that's the whole world right now, and all anyone's talking about, don't you think every day we'd be talking about Odell and the Ravens? Odell
Damn it, we would, and that's them. You got me. It's the Ravens. I love everything they've done this off. You squeeze it out of it, Kay. It's the Ravens.
I'm so good at my job.
Lamar's back.
Right.
You got Odell. The last time we saw him healthy on the field, he took a full year off to recover. I love him being back out there with Odell. Todd Monk, and now the offense, the style of offense is the biggest question. Zay Flowers, another tremendous talent coming into the league. Everything we've heard from him has been great. Bateman, still a lot to see there.
Yeah.
The tight end room, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. We got Josh Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins, I'm sorry. Get out there, get healthy, ball out, then get your money. But, I mean, and then the defense, historically, they've always figured it out on defense. And then once again, John Harbaugh has been a great coach. Super Bowl winning coach in this league. So, I mean, that team, I love everything about it. I think Lamar Jackson has another MVP caliber year this year. But they're my representatives out of the AFC to make appearances.
Odell, I mean, I like Odell. I have to look at this. I don't know why it's not in order here. He's been tweeting things. And I just remember there was a time when I'd be on Good Morning Football, and it would be 6:58 before we went on the air, and it would be, Odell tweeted. Get it on the air, and we'd have to, and it was just, it would derail everything, and it was on the top of it. So anything, I mean, Odell, now he's tweeting about, he's got takes. I don't want to talk about these.
I saw him going back and forth with Tyler Boyd, talking about what he was going to do in the Super Bowl. I saw him talk about this may potentially be his last year.
Gratitude.
I saw
Action Jackson 8. Blank really crazy. I can't read. I love the days that all of these tweets, like we would be losing our shit over these if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. And I think the Ravens are going to thank the team up there in the AFC East for all of this, because they're such a huge threat. Outside of that, they shouldn't be sneaky. They should be talked about way more. It's very weird. Tough division, though.
They shouldn't be. You got a former MVP in his prime, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league for a reason, one of the best records when it comes to QB wins.
And you're Super Bowl champion.
No, I won't say champion, but they will make an appearance, I believe. I just think it's their year to make that run It's all lining up. It looks great on paper. Obviously, you got to go out there and produce. They'll have a tough road to it, obviously, through that AFC North division.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very, very high on the Baltimore Ravens this year. For sure.
And that, I mean, will Odell be the Lionel Messi, to Miami? Will he be that? Will he be, or will it be, You're the best, Darius. We appreciate you joining us. It's good to have you back for another season, of course, of everything that's going on. We can taste it. It's almost here. We'll talk about Messi. We'll talk about, I want to talk about the Saints next time Darius Butler's on, because I got people on my Twitter feed saying, can you please overreact to the Saints like we are? Yeah, I would love to overreact to the Saints and how jacked Derek Carr is and how good they look. I'm excited for that team. But we're going to go to the NFC West as we welcome in our guy, Rob Stats Guerrera. I'm not even ready for this. Like, Trey Lance is so fetch. Are you hearing it, Niners fans? You got your guy. He's healthy. Miraculously is the word she just used. Maybe just, I don't know, Rob Stats Guerrera. Maybe you just enjoy it for what it is, and then let's keep it moving here. I know it's just the preseason, but I got to say, after what we witnessed with the Niners, can we just be happy that we have Brock Purdy? Can't we just, for the love of God, Rob Stats Guerrera, be happy?
What's with the hostility, Kay? It's Monday. Football is back. Let's be happy.
It's such a testament of your work with the Gold Standard 49ers podcast. You are a very good friend of our show. We put that clip up on YouTube, nothing to do with you, and there's so many comments already. We have a brand new YouTube that are like, I love the stray at stats. I love because what you say resonates, and you are really, honestly, you're such a good voice for this community. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. We are excited football's back. And Trey Lance, the stat line wasn't bad, but he looked less than stellar yesterday, okay? After playing the entire first half, 10 to 15, 115 yards, a touchdown that should have been an interception. We both know it. Near interception dropped, sacked 4 times. Were you expecting a better performance than he gave?
Yeah, he needed a better performance than that. He's trying to make his claim to be the starting quarterback. He's fighting for the backup job. It didn't look good. Now, he did start slow, but he also finished pretty strong. Mm-hmm. He finished, 8 of 11, I think, for, his last portion of the first half there. Mm-hmm. That was good. But he needs better than that if he's going to be the starting quarterback. And clearly that looks a long way away right now.
Yeah. When you have, like, a friend that's in, like, a toxic relationship, Stats, and you're like, oh, and you're, she hasn't called me in 3 days. Like, oh, that's weird. But she did, like, she liked my Instagram story. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like, she won't, like, her brother's in town and she won't let me meet him. Like, it's like, oh, but, like, you make a lot of excuses for Trey. No?
Look, he hasn't started and finished 2 straight games since 2019. Okay, it had been 329 days since he was last on a football field. He looked like a guy that, frankly, is really, really inexperienced. But guess what? He is really, really inexperienced. It's just, this is what it was going to look like. Now, Does he have work to do? Yes. But I don't think it was nearly as bad as some people have made it out to be.
I think that's fair. Now, Sam Darnold, not too shabby. He came in the third quarter, 5 for 8, 84 yards, including a 38-yard dot to a 7th rounder named Ronnie Bell. Little sample size. What'd you make of Sam's debut?
I thought he was worse the longer he played. He was kind of the opposite of Trey Lance. Okay. He had that nice deep pass early, which looked good. But also, like, Sam Darnold has played 56 career games. Like, shouldn't he have looked like that? Or are we really surprised? The problem with Darnold isn't that he's not capable of making those throws like he made to Ronnie Bell. The problem is he also makes throws that make you want to smash your head against the wall. And we've seen it again and again and again. And I think Kyle Shanahan kind of protected him from himself yesterday by taking him out at the end of the third quarter because he was supposed to play most of the second half.
It's a really fair point. Like, why are we, I feel stupid for even saying he didn't look that bad. He has all of the experience in the world as an NFL starter that he should look even better than that, and he should have played longer. It's a great point. Will you be happy if this team has 13 wins and Trey doesn't play at all?
Do they win a Super Bowl?
I mean, let's say they make it to the Super Bowl without any action from Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, that's the standard for this team this year. Regardless of who the starter is, it's Super Bowl. They've made the NFC Championship game before, which is great, but they need to get over the hump. So whether it's Brock, Trey, or Sam, whoever they put in there has got to get to the Super Bowl. That is the standard for this team, and anything less than that will be a disappointment.
The gold standard.
Really? Like that? That's how we're starting the year? That's the best you got?
I just gave you a shout out for your pod. Oh my gosh, I just shout out for your podcast. Jeez Louise. Okay, history shows us, my friend Stats, anything can happen throughout the season, and you need a solid backup plan. So assuming everything stays on track and Brock Purdy is the guy, are you going with Trey or Darnold, or what do you need to see to make up your mind, or where are you leaning? Obviously, you like Trey. Make the case.
I would like Trey. I think all he needs is reps, but I don't think it's trending that way right now. And I think the 49ers look at it as we need a high floor for our backup quarterback. And right now, Sam Darnold looks like he has the higher floor. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if it was Brock Purdy 1 and Darnold 2, even though that would absolutely drive me nuts.
What do they do with Lance then?
Nothing this year. I mean, after last night's performance, I don't see a bunch of teams breaking down their door to try to trade for that guy. So I think they just hang on to him at QB3 and hope that he doesn't have to get in there.
Or you hope that nobody watched the actual game and they just look at the stat line and they're like, that's not that bad. That's pretty good. Let's give him a call. I don't know what to do. I think it's, I would be with your argument more if I didn't think it was a pretty easy path for the Niners. Like, do they need the high ceiling, volatile, do they need the Anthony Richardson experience up and down of a Trey Lance or do they need a high floor? Do they need a better Jimmy Garoppolo to get through the NFC and get to the Super Bowl?
They clearly think all they need is good enough. I think what that sort of kind of steady performance that you're talking about, I think that's good enough to get them back to the NFC Championship game this year. But I think history has shown to win a championship, not just get there, but to win, you do need a guy capable of making plays outside of the structure of the offense when things break down. Look at Jalen Hurts in last year's Super Bowl. It's hard to play better in the Super Bowl than Jalen Hurts played, and they still didn't win, even with a good running game, even with a good defense. So to me, if you don't have that kind of special at quarterback, you're not going to win a championship.
What's the trust level? Like, take the temperature of, obviously, the fans that are reacting to you, the media. What's the trust level in Shanahan and Lynch going through? Like, are we trusting they know what they're seeing? They know. I mean, with Brock Purdy, there's no way he can be healthy. They kind of knew, like, he was coming along, throwing that towel last time I talked to you months ago. How much trust does this team and their fans have in the leadership right now with this?
I think it's kind of like, yeah, we trust you, but it better go right this season. Like, you better be right. I think they've earned some of the benefit of the doubt by getting to 3 of the last 4 NFC Championship games. But also, the quarterback is the one spot that they just have not been able to get right. And so the winning earns them some equity. But again, it's the kind of thing where, like, you got to get it done. Otherwise, this is going to go into year 8, and we're still going to be looking for a quarterback next year.
Lastly, is there any, that would be, I mean, a lot of teams have that window thing happening, and here it is with the Niners, as loaded as they are. Hopefully they figure the Bosa thing out. What is something that you are paying attention to that you think isn't getting enough love on the national level? I know you cover all 32 teams, but you're so plugged in with the Niners. Is there somebody like a Ronnie Bell, a Davis Price that you want to put, on the menu for the interwebs this Monday?
Ty Davis-Price would be the guy.
Yeah.
He's gotten a ton of love throughout camp from Shanahan, from their run game coordinator, Chris Forrester. And it was nice to see him get on the field yesterday and actually live up to that, because we get a lot of training camp hero stories this time of year where somebody looks really good and then you see him actually play and they stink. That wasn't the case with Ty Davis-Price last night. He looked good. He looked decisive. He was elusive. And I don't think Elijah Mitchell's spot on this team is guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. So if he keeps balling out, I do think it's possible he could be RB2 in San Francisco.
We love to see it. Stats, we appreciate you, all the work that you do. Everybody go check out the Gold Standard podcast. Try to give us a little wink, a little shout out. You're going to use that in a promo. I know you are. You're going to clip it off, use it. I already see it happening. It's the Gold Standard podcast. Get all of your Niners info from you yourself and your co-host who completely roasted you on this Trey Lance thing, which I love to see. She was just having none of it. She was sick of it, and it was great.
Yeah, Michelle Majuk took me to task a little bit, but thank you so much, Kay. Anytime you need me, you know I'm here for you.
You're the best. I mean, what you're doing is working. I'm so happy for you doing your own thing and being a great voice for that fan base that does have a window and want to waltz right back to the NFC Championship game. All right, Professor Manning, we have to wonder now who is the NFL, who in the NFL would make the best college professor? George Kittle would be fun. That's the first name that came to mind. Fantasy bits. Fantasy bits. Here we go. Let's talk about the rookie receiver class. Now that we've had just a little taste of what's going on in the preseason, check out the names over at fantasypros.com. The rookies, the pass catchers. Jordan Addison is ranked #1 as a rookie receiver right now, and that's perfect. Mwah. Leave it there. It's how it should be. He's already the clear #2 option. He's got the role. He's got the best situation. Are you kidding me? It's Justin Jefferson drawing attention. It's amazing. Jackson Smith and Jigba right on his heels, both guys going ahead of George Pickens and Brandon Cooks. And then you find your value in Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers at 46-47, Jonathan Mingo at 78. I gotta say this when I'm looking at it, Quentin Johnston is the absolute sleeper of the bunch. I'd take him, I'm gonna say I'd take him second to Jordan Addison, okay? He's a first rounder. He flashed his potential. You're looking at the touchdown he scored right before halftime. He's 6'3". 6'3". Woo! 6'3", he's got Justin Herbert, he's got the athleticism, and he has an insanely high ceiling. And being around a Keenan Allen, the leader on this team, is going to help him clean things up, little details he'll develop. Just listen to what these boys told me about the Rookster.
Explosive. Very, very explosive. Quick off the ball, fast.
Athletic. The same thing as explosive?
Kind of.
So I know you're thinking, well, Keenan's there and Mike Williams are there, and that could limit his targets at times. Kellen Moore is going to let Justin Herbert let it rip. Also, Kellen Moore used 3 wide receiver sets, 5th most of any offensive coordinator in the league over the past 4 years. There are going to be plenty of opportunities for Quentin to get the ball. And 2, we hope it doesn't happen, but there is an injury history when it comes to a Keenan and a Mike. Maybe they missed a couple of games, a handful, one or the other, and they have missed 17 games the last 3 years. So that sort of points to potentially some more option and opportunity for Quentin as well. So there's a clearer path, in my opinion, for Johnston to get targets consistently than like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, who we love. But that's a run-heavy offense in Seattle, okay? Besides Metcalf and Luck. And I know Austin Eckler catches the rock a ton, I know. But I just have a feeling, based off what I'm hearing, based off what Brandon Staley had to say, based off what Darius Butler said today, we like all of these rookies. Zay Flowers, I also like. I just feel like the place to get the targets funneled, even though it's going to be a deep offense and they've got a lot of talent, is going to be my guy. So outside of Jordan Addison, I am taking Quentin Johnston. We got a big week. Tomorrow we have Dwight Freeney on the show. We're very excited for him, of course, to join us. And like I told Darius Butler, we're not making an announcement. The announcement's not happening yet, not until who knows? if we say we're bringing bucket hats, Coach Payton's going to say no. But we're trying to visit the Broncos. We're trying to visit them this week. Outside of that, I also heard a rumor. Rob Gronkowski's in studio this week, which I'm not ready for. So we will be back tomorrow. Please subscribe to our YouTube. Thank you.